In this video, we'll go over how to create a Shopify task. So on the main screen, the first thing you're going to do is click on the create button, and we're going to select the Shopify symbol. Alright, and the first thing you're going to see is the site. So this is a drop-down menu, and it has a list of all the Shopify stores that are preset inside Prism. So if I wanted to run a easy supply task, just go ahead and start typing it out and it'll populate. If you do not see your site in this list, you can always run a custom Shopify task. So you're going to choose custom, and then you're just going to type in the host URL. So for example, let's say I want to run a task on RSVP gallery. You just type in the home page of RSVP gallery. For the sake of this video, we are just going to use a easy supply task as an example. Next, you have the option to choose your profile that you want to use for this task. It will automatically pre-populate whatever you have in your quick task settings. However, let's say I want to use a test profile. I'm going to go ahead and clear it and then type in test and then just select it. You also have the option to select a profile group. So when you toggle this button on, you can choose a profile group that you've already created. So if I choose personal cards, it'll actually create a single task per billing profile in that group. So if I have 4 credit cards or 4 billing profiles in my personal cards group, it will create 4 tasks. Next, we have task quantity. This is how many tasks you want to create. So if I chose 5, it would create 5 tasks. Next, you have the ability to change the item quantity. Usually you're going to set this at 1. However, let's say you're copying some Funkos and they allow 2 per person. You can go ahead and change this to 2, and it'll check out 2 products in one order. Next, you have the ability to enter in a login. So for sites like Undefeated that require an account login before you check out anything, go ahead and type in your email and password here. Or if you've already added that account to your login pool in the settings tab, go ahead and toggle this on, and it'll automatically choose a random account in your login pool. Next, you have the ability to schedule your tasks. So the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and toggle this on. Let's say I want to set up my task to run at 3 a.m. for the easy supply drop. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to type in 2:59, and I want it to run 5 seconds before 3 a.m. So 55 and a.m. Then you always want to make sure the date is correct. So since I actually want to create it in a.m., I'm going to type in 7:02/2019. Alright, next you have the ability to create your task and have it monitoring either a product URL, keyword, or variant. So the first option is product URL. If your cook group has early links, you can go ahead and insert them here. If you don't have an early link and you want to run keywords, the format is open parentheses, plus symbol, and then a plus symbol before every positive keyword. So let's say I want to run 350. You always want to separate them with a comma, then another plus symbol, and let's say I want to run for just reflectives. And then you just want to close the parentheses when you're done. You also have the ability to run negative keywords. So let's say I don't want to pick up any infant or kid sizes. You just put a minus symbol before each negative keyword. You also have the option to search 2 or 3 different types of keyword sets. All you have to do is just create another open parentheses, and let's say I want this to just search for 700. So basically what it'll do is it will search both keyword sets, and if it picks up anything on either keyword set, it will check out the product. And then obviously variant mode, if you have the variants, you just plug in a variant in here. Next, we have the option to choose size. So you can always run random, and it'll just choose whichever size pops up first. Then you also have the option to run multiple sizes, so 4, 4.5. Let's say I want to run base sizes. You just click on each individual size. So this single task will then search for each size. That's a base size. You also have the option to do a full size run. So if you click this and toggle it on, you can choose the start size and then the end size. So the way this differs is that it will actually create a single task per size within that range. So we're going to leave this at random for just this video. Next, you have the option to set price limits. So if I'm running very generic keywords like plus 350 and that was it, I can make sure I'm setting my price limits to $219 and $221 because generally a pair of Yeezys on Yeezy Supply costs $220. So it will make sure that I won't check out anything that's outside this price range. Then we have the option to toggle CAPTCHA on and off. So for sites like Yeezy Supply, they usually turn on CAPTCHA, and if you know the site is going to require CAPTCHA, we suggest you turn this on. That way that it will make sure that it tries to submit a CAPTCHA before it tries to check out. If you leave this off and the site does require CAPTCHA, it's no harm, no foul really. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to try paying for the item first, and then once it realizes that it needs a CAPTCHA, it will then submit the CAPTCHA and then check out again. So obviously it's going to be a little slower than if you already have this on. Next to it, we have the option to use PayPal as a checkout option. Generally, you don't really want to toggle this on unless the site is PayPal only. And we will actually go over how to create and run a PayPal task in a separate video. Next, up top, we have the shipping rate. So if you go to the shipping rates tab, you can create your shipping rates there, and then they will all show up in the drop-down menu. So let's say I want to run a shipping rate for Yeezy Supply. Just go ahead and select it there. Next, you have the option to choose your proxy list and your checkout proxy list. So let's say I want to use blank UK proxies. And then on checkout proxy list, let's say I want to use local. Let's go ahead and leave that empty. Next, you have the option to enter in a site password. So if you already know the site password ahead of time, you can go ahead and enter the password in here, and it'll automatically bypass the password page and monitor the website. Then you have the ability to tie this task to the Soleus monitor. So basically, if you toggle this on, it will not use your proxies or use up any data. It will only start the task if the keyword pops up or the item pops up on the Soleus monitor. And we'll have a separate video that goes over this mode. Next, you have the option to choose one of the modes. So we have advanced, human, superhuman, browser, safe, and restock. And we will have a separate video that kind of describes what each mode is and what scenario you should run each mode in. Then we have the monitor delay, timeout delay, and number of monitors. And these values are really dependent on how many proxies you have and how many tasks you want to run. Finally, we have the drop-down delay. So, for example, let's say I want to run really high delays just so I can bypass the queue, and then let's say the item drops at 11 a.m. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the delay that I want it to drop down to. So let's say I want to leave it at 1000. I'm going to set it to 10:59, 55 a.m. and we'll change it to tomorrow. So what it's going to do is it's basically going to run these delays up until 10:59, 55 a.m. and it's going to drop down the delays to 1000 milliseconds, 5 seconds before 11 a.m. And then to kind of circle back, number of monitors. we will have a separate video that's kind of explains the concept behind this, because we have been getting a few questions regarding what my number of monitors should be, so we'll describe that in a separate video. Alright, so once everything looks okay here, I'm going to click next. You will get a final confirmation screen, just kind of showing a summary of what inputs you entered in, and then we're just going to click create. And as you can see, the task popped up right there. If I want to ever edit this, you can right click it, click edit, and you'll see all the values that you put in earlier. If you want to duplicate it, right click again, and you can click duplicate. It'll create another task using all the same settings. Alright, up top we also have the select all button. So this just kind of toggles selecting all and deselecting all. Then we have the ability to task groups. If you click this, I can select however many tasks that I have in my main page. And let's say I want to create a task group. Go ahead and click create. And we're going to name this Easy Supply. Alright, so once this is created, you can back out and it will show up that task group. So if I ever wanted to just start my Easy Supply task group, go ahead and right click, click start, automatically starts running. If I want to stop that group, I can go ahead and click stop. Then you have the ability to export your tasks. Go ahead and just highlight whichever task you want, go ahead and export. And then it'll basically save a file, and then if you're ever moving from like your local PC to your server, instead of having to recreate all your tasks, you can just import your tasks back in. Alright guys, and that's pretty much how to create a Shopify task.